Good morning, Zio here, and today we're going to do something a bit different. Instead of talking about how, the police can knock on your door and fine you for hate speech while playing an Ubisoft title, we're going to do this, whatever this is. It's like some kind of review overlook of Resident Evil, the episode of the TV show. Just grab your coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get into it, shall we? But yeah, welcome to Raccoon City, episode 1 on Netflix of Resident Evil, the TV show. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to talk about some stuff because there are some inconsistencies that kind of drive me a little nuts. I feel like talking about it, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, before we start, spoilers ahead, of course. If you hadn't seen it, you want to see it, you probably don't want to watch this. Unless you just want to watch this and see if it's some kind of dumpster fire or something like that, then, feel free to watch this. But anyway, so... yeah, this is new. This is not something I normally do, but I wanted to because I needed something, I guess, and I just didn't feel like talking about anything else today. But I did just watch this. Yeah, I feel like my camera needs to be right here because I keep looking over here. I've always done it. No idea why. Anyway. But yeah, so... in fact, that's where my chat sits too when I stream. It might actually serve better over there. Might have to think about that at some point. Anyway, so Resident Evil Chapter 1, or Episode 1 here. We start out with this chick. She's in a tent with a perimeter fence. And yeah, so, it's London, 2036, 14 years after the end. And throughout this whole episode, we're going to be jumping back into the past as well as the present. But yeah, so she's apparently talking to her daughter and I guess her husband or whatnot. He seems to not really care that much about her, it seems, and stuff like that. She goes out to watch zombies, right? So she seems to be some kind of scientist. She's studying the zombie hordes, trying to figure out what it is that they're doing, and she releases a rabbit, punctures the rabbit so it's bleeding. The horde comes out of the subways and they attack the rabbit, and they pile on to the rabbit, but they miss the rabbit. Okay, so that's what has happened. And then she nicks herself trying to leave and then has to run from said horde. Now, when this whole thing started, she was in a tent and we were like, or I was like, that seems pretty ballsy of you to do in a zombie infested city in a tent. Well, there's a perimeter fence. This perimeter fence, however, is a flamethrower, which is actually pretty cool. Let's see if we can get that to come up real quick. I mean, there's the fire. There we go. It is a firewall, which in the most literal sense of a firewall, and I absolutely love it. No wonder she didn't give a damn living in that tent while she was there. But yeah, so that's how it opens up. And then because of that, sirens are going off because, if you're asleep in the tent, when it goes off, you want to know about it. And then it wakes up, well, whoopsie. We'll get to it because I'm not going to take thousands of screenshots to do this. I'm sorry. Can I get it for just the briefest of moments? Maybe. There we go. A giant caterpillar, which sounds like something that the T-Virus would absolutely do. This thing ragdolls her around, knocks her out, and she's saved by a bunch of guys with guns who just pump it full of holes and they take off. Anyway, so then we start going back in time. All right. New Raccoon City 2022, 3 months before the actual end. As you can tell, there's not a whole lot there. It's one of those manufactured towns. I would probably say if there was a smart city out there, that's exactly what this is. It is a manufactured smart city that has been revived around an old mining town. In the center is a giant lab. That's where their dad works. Their dad happens to be Albert Wesker, of course. Let's see if we can get a shot of Wesker there. There's Wesker in all his glory. And before anybody says it, I don't really care that they're redoing the timeline. I really don't. You know, Resident Evil has been around for a while. It's done its thing. It's run its course, in my opinion. For a reboot, that's fine. Whatever. They're rewriting the timeline at this point. And the movies were to begin with when it comes to Resident Evil. They weren't as good as the games anyway. So yeah, they're rewriting the timelines. They go to New Raccoon City, which I think is located in Africa. I think there was a throwaway line about that. You've got her and her sister. They're twins. Apparently they have been born from two separate eggs in the same mother, with Wesker's DNA, of course, and they were born at the same time, so they're twins, but not technically, but also technically twins. I've never heard of that before. Maybe that's a real thing that is, like where you have an egg donor and they use multiple eggs or whatnot and stuff. I've never heard of that before. Doesn't mean it isn't a thing, and it could be one of those like 0.001% chance kind of things. So that's what they're aiming for. There's also several throwaway lines in this whole episode where they pretty much take a political message and bonk you on the head with it real quick with a throwaway line. It's quick, it's dirty, it's easy. So that's what happens. They move in. She clearly hates it. The other one is just making do. Right. And so we then go back to her being tossed around by the caterpillar, and she is very lucky this thing didn't make like a T-Rex when it ragdolled her in the air and ate her and just slammed her onto the car there. But then we're going to bounce back to New Raccoon City. They're all mad, angry, and stuff like that. And apparently Wesker here draws their blood every 2 weeks and then injects himself with it. So I'm sure that's going to be a thing that we're going to have questions for later in life, because it is not revisited. So it is setting something up. Anyway, we get to school. And this is one of the real weird things about the writing that drives me nuts. You've got this girl here. This girl is walking around the cafeteria looking for a place to sit, and people are suddenly occupying the seat in one way or fashion. You know the type, the loner type that nobody likes, nobody cares about, that sort of thing. They're the outsider of the school, of the student body. We've seen them, that trope, time and time again in stories. We know how it is. However, this is the weird part about it, is she is being assigned this trope actively in this scene. She goes to sit down and girl pulls the chair out back and props her legs on it in front of her with the seat's taken, bitch kind of thing, right? And she then approaches the sister, and instead of taking a seat like she had been trying to do throughout the thing, she immediately hops onto the table and starts grilling the sister. I don't know why. Like, this is completely unprompted and, in my opinion, very not like the trope they were putting this girl into, right? Like, she shouldn't be going from outsider loner to immediately straight up, I'm a fucking bitch and I'm going to chew you up and spit you out, to the new girl, who also is, by the way, sitting by herself, not fitting in. Just like her, they're both embodying the same trope, but then this one decides to dial up the bitch to 1,000 and essentially starts a fight right there. Like, I'm not sure what they were thinking. I'm sure they were... The lines in this, because it revolves around the fact that the sister is a vegan, right? And she's like, well, when the world ends, we're going to eat vegans first and all this other stuff, implying that because if the world ends, vegans won't be able to survive, that sort of thing, which, it's kind of true. Unless you can get yourself a nice place to actually grow stuff, depending on how the world ends and things, you probably won't survive as a vegan just because of the nutrition isn't there, scientifically speaking. But anyway, it feels like she's trying to embody that, I guess, conservative trope, right? Of something that is vegan or whatnot, or against a vegan. I don't know. For no reason whatsoever. Like, there was no prompting of this. That wasn't like she was mean to her or anything else. It was just completely unprompted. And it felt weird. It was just out there. So they get a fight. They get into a fight, and she gets up, and the sister's like, you should have done this. And she's like, I don't like it when I'm angry. So the vegans girl is like, is trying to go with the whole, you won't like me when I'm angry kind of stick, right? Because apparently in the past she broke some dude's leg for picking on somebody else. And then she had to go into counseling, and people called her weird and called her psycho, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so we get Joy here, which is a product that Umbrella is working on. It will come back up later. And Wesker is talking about how, he doesn't like how they're, there we go. Wesker is talking to them about how he doesn't like how they're pushing it out there the way it is, because it's supposed to be like an antidepressant, but the commercial has this woman who seems to apparently have a fabulous life and all this other stuff, and it doesn't really embody the kind of people who would need said drug, and yada yada, bleeding heart kind of whatever. Anyway. And they're just like, oh, well, this is what we're doing. And it's like, it's a commercial, people. It's a commercial. They're all like that. It's okay. Anyway, so they're having their heart to heart about stuff. We go back to present day. She is woken up. She's on a table. She goes to a thing, and it seems like some kind of newscast or something is broadcasting. I guess it's something on a loop. Wi-Fi apparently does still exist in this world, because earlier she was talking to her daughter and stuff via Wi-Fi and such, and she's asking where she is, and it looks like it brings up the UK. And dude comes in, talks to her. She's like, I need to go back to camp, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, tomorrow. And she's like, no, now. And then he takes her outside and shows her the hundreds of horde that are surrounding the place that they're currently in, and says, no, you'll do it tomorrow kind of deal. We ain't going anywhere tonight. And then we go back into the past. Wesker's doing his thing. And then we get revenge for the sister, right? So we got Mean Girl here. And can I get it to come up? There we go. Slight raccoon thing. We've got somebody following her around with some kind of weird raccoon head on her head, and she essentially attacks her. All right. She follows her to the bathroom, opens the stall, and whacks her in the head. Naturally, Mean Girl tells the teachers because, she can dish it but can't take it. And then they go drag the other one, the vegan sister, out. They say open the locker, and for some reason the raccoon head is stuffed in her locker. Sounds like a bad play on my part, unless you're purposely trying to pin it on her, which apparently I guess was the actual reason or whatnot. But anyway, it leads to a scene where Daddy Wesker gets to come to school. And this is probably one of my favorite scenes, right? Because Daddy Wesker comes to school, and we've got Dave here. So Dave here is the father of Bitch Girl, right? Let's see if I can get a decent shot. And that's, I guess, the principal right there, right? The other chick. There we go. There's Dave. And Wesker pulls the Chad move, right? Wesker's like, what do you do for Umbrella exactly? And he's like, well, I'm a system administrator. He's like, so how many people do you think can do your job? Thousands? And he's like, well, maybe. And he's like, do you know how many people can do my job? And Dave is like, I don't know. And he goes, one, me, just me. And at this rate, when I call our bosses and say, I'm gonna quit if you don't go, kind of deal. And Dave is like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, the entire time. Like, he knows he fucked up. He thought he had some kind of power. He has zero power in this situation. And I was waiting for Daddy Wesker to eventually mention the fact that Bitch Girl had actually attacked her daughter, or his daughter, twice at this point, right? In the lunchroom and once afterwards, where she shoved food in her face later. And, it does eventually come up. So Daddy Wesker purely explains what's going to happen is like, if I'm correct here, your daughter attacked my daughter twice at this point. So your daughter owes my daughter an apology, and then we can walk the other way and all this other stuff. So eventually, Bitch Face does do the apologizing. Dave shits his pants, and Daddy Wesker walks out like a baller. And that happens. And the principal too, by the way, because she is there to start mediating this thing, right, and talk about it. And then it's just it goes back to her with that face like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, I can lose my job if I don't play my cards right real quick kind of face the entire time. And she's just like, yeah, we're done, right? We good? So there we go. We go back to the present, of course, and Dude and her is having a back and forth and stuff. And eventually it comes down to, she's explaining that she studies the zombies, or I guess the zeros as they call them at this point, and they're not really dead. They're still human. Their brains have just been rewired, and explains that their sight's the first to go, then their hearing goes, but their smell gets better. So, because he was talking about how during the summer they get like a lot more outside, and he doesn't understand how it works. So she was explaining it's because you stink, right? Their smell gets a hell of a lot better now, and it stinks, and she's studying, waiting for the next form of evolution from them, right? So we go on, and eventually Dude comes up and is like, hey, they're 30 clicks out. And she's like, who's 30 clicks out? And he goes, Umbrella. They got a price on heads for survivors, because she is apparently tagged on the arm with a number of some kind, which I'm assuming comes from New Raccoon City, which makes her what they call a survivor of Raccoon City. And there is a huge price on her head, like she is their number one want for some reason. So that's a mystery. Now we get to this part here. This is inconsistency number 2. Oh, let's see. Can we get back? Get back. There we go. Okay. I can't get the dots back up now, can I, without actually hitting play? And I don't think I can hit play without getting a flag of some kind. Anyway, there we go. Okay, so right here you've got some dots. Okay, this is the security system to the facility, the lab. It is voice activated as well as facial recognition activated, noted by the dots. See, the dots start with a red wireframe and stuff, then it will go green when it identifies the voice to the person. It is shown clearly in this right here. That is how the security system works. Very advanced, and yes, that's how it works. Now we get into this. She's going to go meet Daddy Wesker, notices that they have rabbits for lab testing. Apparently Umbrella tells people that they don't do animal testing, and that's a big no-no for Vegan Girl there, because Vegan Girl apparently got in trouble for freeing the frogs in the science lab once. And she wants to do it again. So they come in, they talk. She's telling her how she was Raccoon Girl. She went in, beat the crap out of the other girl, left it in her locker, depended on her, and now everybody thinks Vegan Girl is some kind of hero or something because she stopped the bully. The bully, by the way, who nobody actually thought seemed to or acted like was a bully, right? Until she decided to suddenly go from, loner that nobody wants around her to bully out of, a matter of seconds from seeing the new girl in the cafeteria, which still throws me off to no end. But anyway, so she says, you know, I'll do whatever you want. She goes, anything? Well, I saw animals at the lab today. We're going to go rescue them. And there she's like, oh, do we have to do that? I mean, it's not our business. And she said, you said anything. And I'm just thinking, where the fuck are you going to rescue the animals to, right? Like, there's no wilderness anywhere. We saw a snapshot of the city. You can't get those animals out. So the plan then morphs into her wanting to take pictures and screenshots and videos and stuff of the thing, I guess, because that's essentially what it is that they wind up doing, because you can't really get the rabbits out. Okay, so they go into to Daddy Wesker's room. They steal his tablet and ID card, which may not be a good idea, but you know, TV, it's a show. So they show up to the camera, right? And they put these things on so it can't face recognize. But they're like, oh, well, it's voice activated, right? It's voice recognition. And they play back, hello, I'm Wesker on the tablet from their father, right? And that jars the voice recognition. But from earlier, and this is where the inconsistency is, earlier, it had to map her face to make sure she was who she was. Now it suddenly doesn't. It is purely a voice activated system. It says, now beginning your 1 hour after hours allotted time, and lets them in. It's like, okay. So what was facial recognition and voice activated is now just purely voice activated, and it's not throwing a red flag up because there are flashlights shining at it and it can't actually tell who's behind the flashlight. Okay, sounds like a really piss poor system to me, because it was way more advanced during the day. Anyway, so they go down, they go down into the labs, then they come back to, the present, and dude's talking about, they're almost here. She's like, you don't fuck with Umbrella, because Umbrella is going to essentially eradicate everybody. You don't make deals with them. They show up. Oh, shoot, hope that didn't trigger anything. Anyway, they show up and they immediately start killing absolutely everybody, because big bad corporation needs to do that, which I don't understand why they would be interested in killing this particular settlement. They got what they wanted, and if I was in charge thinking about it and we were using survivors out there to round up actual survivors in New Raccoon, we would probably want to pay them whatever it is that we said we would pay them, to ensure that the next time they find another survivor, they hand them over. That seems like the good big boy play, big brain play, but this is not the big brain play of this particular Umbrella. They're dumb. They slaughtered everyone. So, yeah. So she's running about, trying to escape, and we go back to the lab. They go into the lab, they find all the animals, she starts taking pictures and stuff, and video, and then goes, shit, there's no signal. And then the main character here goes, oh, well, I bet the computer has signal. And they made a joke earlier about how her father uses, Daddy Wesker uses Spock, whatever, 21 or something, as the password to absolutely everything. So she finds the computer here, types it in, doesn't give us the stars like normal security passwords or anything, just straight up types in Spock 21 Albert Wesker, gets logged in and finds a file that we saw earlier in the show from the Tuscany or whatever thing that was going on, right, where they seem to be having some kind of outbreak. And people aren't dying, and they're trying to kill them, and she sees the video of it. Okay? So she sees that video and is like, oh my gosh, what the hell have we stumbled onto? And vegan chick finds a cage. All right? And decides to use Big Daddy Wesker's keycard on it, which opens the cage. And for some reason, by opening the cage with Daddy Wesker's card, it immediately turns on all the sirens. I have no idea why. The security system seems very inconsistent at this point, because if you're using an ID card that is capable of, say, unlocking this thing, you're probably unlocking it for a reason, right? Why in the world would every siren in the building go off for that? No idea. Anyway, so it flashes and does a thing and says joy experiment or something like that on it, right? Which is, there we go. Joy Shiitakes. Anyway, I lost it now. Of course I'd lose it. So good. Anyway, the thing inside's not doing too hot, apparently. It says joy or whatnot, which is the drug, okay? So they're doing animal testing on the drug. And inside is not anything good, okay? It is essentially a T-virus puppy, like through and through. And it's not like the T-virus isn't a thing in this, because it did get referenced when present Jade was talking to the dude, right? T-virus was talked about for a split second, so it does exist. So I'm not sure what the link between Joy and T-virus is just yet, but T-virus puppy pops out, and T-virus puppy is not happy, although T-virus puppy should be happy. So they run back, they get into the elevator, right? And doors shut, and then they come up. And while they're upstairs, suddenly T-virus puppy, because they just walked off the elevators, right? T-virus puppy, for some reason, has figured out how to either A, take the other elevator, because he starts trying to break through that other door, because I believe they came out of this door right here, and then starts trying to break through that door. So we're talking about sheets of metal here. This dog is clearly breaking and crushing through, and has decided to scale, either has learned to take the elevator or scale the entire elevator shaft. Anyway, they take off running, they hide under a table in one of the conference rooms near the front of the facility. T-puppy breaks out and starts wandering around, and they, it passes by or whatnot, and then vegan chick, because she's a complete another dumbass, goes to unlock the door because she's going to stick her head out, because the dog didn't just, 30 seconds walk by. I'm sure it's still there, and main character here knocks the table, and it sets off the hologram for the kids commercial that they were looking at for this joy drug, which of course prompts T-puppy to come back. And because the door was already unlocked at that point, vegan girl left it. Right? And yeah. So he comes in, he comes looking for him. They run away. They get to the front door. The front door is locked. They're running back and forth. And let's see if we can get it for a split second. T-puppy is rushing, right? Vegan girl is on the ground. And T-puppy has vegan girl. Now, from the shot, it doesn't look like T-puppy has any meat on vegan girl, just her jacket. I mean, that's just what it looks like from my perspective, right? And even if anything, maybe her shoulder, which means she's going to be infected by whatever it is, of course, which I guess is what we're going for. But after main character comes in with a fire hydrant and bashes T-puppy's face in, right? We are left to believe that vegan girl has died. Like, she is unconscious. She's not saying anything. There's no blood or anything. I'm pretty sure T-puppy just grabbed her by the jacket, not anything of note at this point, but apparently she died from that encounter for some reason, because okay, maybe shock, I don't know, maybe that's what it is, but they make it seem like she died, right? Because main character is all upset that she's dead, essentially. Anyway, so main character is running away, pops up to the top here, dude exchanges words and says, hey, your sister's looking for you. And then we're given we just went from her sister is pretty much dead to, oh, your sister's actually alive looking for you, which I feel like we could have left that bit out just now and left us in suspense for a hot minute, instead of just making it seem like she died and then, oh, by the way, she's looking for you, and now we're like, no, wait, I just thought she died 2 seconds ago. Whatever. Anyway, so she tells him to, F off. Fudge. I've hit the wrong button. And let's see if I can get it here. There we go. She decides to jump off the platform into the herd of zombies and down below. Now, I don't know how she plans to survive that fall. She's going to break her legs on impact more than likely, because the only thing below her at this point is solid ground, a mound of bodies that would like to chew her up into pieces, and I think like a van or ambulance. That's it. There's nothing soft for her to run in, land on, nothing to cushion her fall. It's going to hurt like a bitch when she hits that. But yeah, so that's the first episode. There are a few inconsistencies here and there which drive me nuts, and yeah, but other than that, it's not that bad. It really isn't. Outside of the occasional one-liner that beats you over the head with some kind of political message real quick, like a thunk, like really suddenly, that throws you off for a second. It's like, was that necessary? Like, really? Like they anyway, aside from those, it's actually not that bad of a show, and the inconsistencies that I talked about right here. So far, it's not that bad, and I am intrigued to know what happens next. So let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. See ya.